Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. I'm going to get you prepared for the Wednesday night slate on DraftKings with an NBA first look. We're going to take a look at some of my favorite value plays. We're going to run down every one of the big time all-stars that are on this slate, and it's a good slate. We got 9 games, so pretty full slate. The value has seemed to have gotten tightened up a little bit, especially since Monday when it was just all over the place. We talked about on our first look on Monday, or for Monday, that it was an absolute value tsunami that was waiting to hit us, and it sure did, with scores at the high 300 levels, over 400 on DraftKings, as basically everything that we thought was going to hit. Some even more value opened up, so there were 9-10 plays that were very theoretically viable that were sub 4K, and every one of those hit for 6 to 10 times their value, driving scores completely through the roof. 300 wasn't even enough to get you 50-50s or head-to-heads. You had to score in the 320s to 330s, 350s to cash in tournaments. So it was just a wild and crazy night. I think that things are going to be a little bit different here for the Wednesday night slate. We got 9 games on this slate. Washington travels to Indy. New York faces off against Detroit. Sacramento goes to Toronto. Golden State against Houston. And as I said, some of the value on Golden State has been tightened up a little bit, dealing with all the injuries that they're dealing with, but there still is some places that we can get to. They're mostly mid-range priced now. Chicago against Atlanta. Minnesota against Memphis. Orlando, Dallas. Philly goes to Utah. And the Milwaukee Bucks at the nightcap against the Los Angeles Clippers in the highlight game of the night, with Giannis going up against Kawhi and everything that's going to be centered around that game. Really fun slate, really exciting slate, and I want to dig into it a little bit. I do want to remind you that if you want to take a better shot at NBA, if you're new to it and you need somebody to teach you on a day-to-day basis with great projections, a fantastic optimizer, outstanding customer service, as well as alerts to lead you all the way up to and past lock, DraftKings is the place that you want to be, for you to be carried through, to to help you out on a day-to-day basis. They have a great Slack for all of their members to take part in, and you see Drew and Mike Leone and all their guys pop in there from time to time to give advice and to help people out with strategy or using the optimizer. I also have on this channel put together a bunch of how to win on DraftKings videos, so go check out that playlist. Just go to the page, go check out the playlist to learn how to use the optimizer, 5 tips on how to make better NBA lineups. All of that evergreen content is there for you if you're new to NBA, or if you just need a little bit of a refresher. If you started off the season, you're struggling a little bit, maybe getting back to basics will help you out. That is what I would suggest doing. But all that aside, let's get to the slate. Like I said, on the nightcap, all up top, the MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, going to Los Angeles, the bright lights, the big city. Is the LA nightlife undefeated? We're going to find out if Giannis has himself a big night. Now look, every single stud on the board on an every night basis, guys like Harden and Towns and Drummond and Giannis and everybody else that's on this slate, has the potential to go for 60 to 85 DraftKings points, right? So when I talk about this one is better than that one, it's typically from a points per dollar point of view, from a this is your best value at the superstar positions for your cash game lineups, which is where I start every day. And I'm a tournament player, but I want to know who the best players are, and those guys are typically going to be players I'm going to want to overweight the field on. And if you don't understand what that means, is if I expect the field to have 30% of a player in tournaments, and I think that they are an outstanding value for the night, way beyond what they should exceed their salary expectation on the night, I'm probably going to want to have more in my tournament allocation than the field does. That's what overweighting the field means. So if I think somebody's going to be 30% and I think that they're going to outscore their expectation and I want to have 50 or 60%, that puts me in a better position, if that player performs in the way that I think that they will, to have a better shot or many more shots at taking down a tournament. Now, Giannis is in he's a great player, but I don't think this is a great spot for him with as good defensively as the Clippers are. But that doesn't mean that he can't do big things, right? I mean, the guy's averaging 62 DraftKings points per game. That means that if he just has a game that's 20% above his average, you're talking about 75 points. At 11.7, I feel like to win a GPP, you need to get that 75 point output from him. And I don't think that that is the case for him on Wednesday night. I don't think that he is the best play for your cash game lineups. But on the off chance that he has a ridiculous night, gets you those 14 rebounds, those 27 points, and also kind of oopses his way into a triple-double, as he's been close. He's averaging 7.5 assists per game. But if he gets you that triple-double, that might be the sort of thing that pushes him above. I just don't think that there's a lot of that expectation coming around tomorrow night in this particular matchup for him to get there. But it should be a closely contested game, and one that they want to show out. So there is always the possibility for Giannis, but he's probably not somebody I'm going to invest very heavily in. James Harden, we talked about him being the guy that we wanted to go to without Russ Westbrook there. He came through with 73.5 points, but unfortunately on Monday night, I think his ownership was about the same as his fantasy points, as everybody was playing James Harden. As the information gets better that's out there, as everybody understands what they want to do, and we get early information like Westbrook is not going to play on a slate, everybody is immediately going to pivot towards James Harden. So 76% of one player, or whatever he was in that $8 tournament on Monday, if he has a huge day, it's just absurd, because I think I had like 70% of him in my allocation. It doesn't even matter because everybody has him. So it is what it is. I don't think that that's the case against Golden State. Coming up here on Wednesday night, if you want to play Harden, there's always the possibility that he's going to get you there. He is the highest raw projected total in on the slate, at least for me. He's somebody that I'm going to want to have shares of, because there's possibilities for him to do great things every single night because of his ability to put the ball in the basket at a ridiculous clip. But I don't think the usage is going to be there like we saw it against Memphis. Now, if he's efficient from the field, or more efficient from the field like he was, with 13 free throws made and 7 of 16 from behind the arc, he shot better from behind the arc than overall. We're looking at a different sort of scenario, but with Westbrook back, different situation there. Andre Drummond is a machine at this point. And at center, I don't know that we need to go that route, because center is so deep on this slate. Center is an absolutely deep position most nights, especially with multi-positional eligibility and all the power forwards that have power forward / center eligibility. I don't know that we need to pay up for Andre Drummond here as well. I think that you can, but I don't think he's a necessary option. And the reason I don't think that he's the necessary option is Karl Anthony Towns expected to be back in the lineup on Wednesday against Memphis, and we see what he had been doing in games that he did not get into a fist fight with Joel Embiid. Karl Anthony Towns at a discounted price from all the other players that are up there can do basically the same things. Averaging 27 plus points per game, over 11 rebounds, getting you that double-double on average, definitely working better in the assist category, a threat from behind the arc as well. So if I'm getting Karl Anthony Towns at 10K versus 10.8 for Drummond, versus 11.2 for Harden, and versus 11.7 at Giannis Antetokounmpo, I think that we're getting better value with Karl Anthony Towns. I'm going to plug him in at the center spot, and we'll keep working on the stud players. The poster boy for today, just because he's been doing so ridiculously well this far in the season, is Luka Doncic. I think he's in play this evening. He's somebody that I want to have a ton of shares of in GPP, just because of that 75 point possibility that he has, but he has to run real pure to get there. As you can see, he does not chip in very much with blocks and steals, at least not on a consistent enough basis for me. I love that he's a threat for a triple-double every single night, and he has the keys to the Cadillac and is going to be shooting the ball enough to be consistent with his scoring. But can you post a triple-double with 15 plus assists every single night in order to facilitate having a 75-point night? Now, he doesn't need 75 points at 9,800, but I think that there's other guys that have an easier path to having that 70-point night because of their chip-ins with blocks plus steals and how valuable those are on DraftKings. But Doncic becoming one of my favorite players in the league. He was fantastic to watch as a rookie, and it's great to see him become even more efficient here in his second year with more time on the ball and maybe a little bit better improved cast around him. We're going to keep him in mind because I may come back to him. Joel Embiid also going to be back in this spot, going up against Utah, the Stifle Tower. I don't know that this is the best spot, and as I said, center is just so deep. Lou Williams at only 6,500. Now, Milwaukee is a good defensive team. they're pretty solid, but the increase in workload in usage rate for Lou Williams is going to be palpable, right? The ball is going to be in his hands a little bit more. He's going to be asked to create both for himself and for teammates a little bit more in this spot. He's already getting enough usage to warrant playing him, but now in a spot where the ball is going to be in his hands even more, these 18, 19, 17 shot performances, that's going to stay on par and might get into the mid 20s on Wednesday night. And then you also have the chance with the ball in his hands a little bit more. Maybe he's going to create a little bit more for teammates as well. We'll see if that's really the case, but the scoring should increase to the mid 20s, which at 6,500 makes him somebody that I want to plug in. I'm actually going to use him as one of my value plays. I'm going to plug him in at shooting guard. And you know what? Why don't we just plug Luka in here? Why not? I think that there's two other value plays that we can get to on this slate to make it worthwhile. And the first one going to be Jarrett Culver for Minnesota. The minutes have ballooned, as you can see. Playing in the mid-20s now after playing in the teens before. He is getting way more run recently, and as a result, he only needs about 17 to 21 fantasy points for him to pay off at this salary. He's been playing in that 24, 26 minute range the last couple of games. I think that that's going to continue against Memphis on Wednesday. So at 3,200, he is a standout value for me coming into this slate. And the second one also on the Clippers, Mo Harkless, 3,200. He's somebody that we wanted to play at 4K when he was sitting in the mid-20s in minutes. I expect those minutes to increase in this spot as well, with Kawhi not playing in this game, moving him up into that spot where all we need again at 3,200, 18 to 21 fantasy points if he plays 25 minutes in this game, which I think is expected and pretty reasonable or conservative from a minutes perspective. We can get that value out of him as well. So as extra minutes opens up, you want to be nimble and be able to play these guys. Always, always, always be at your workstation 30 minutes before lineups lock. You have to put yourself in a position to be successful in NBA. It's not a set it and forget it sport. My two studs for the night, Luka Doncic and Karl Anthony Towns, Lou Williams, Culver, and Harkless, my three best values on the board as a first look. And I hope that you guys have yourselves a great night on Wednesday. Best of luck, and I hope that one of you takes down a GPP. Until then, till that next video, I'll see you guys later. Bye.